What if the problem isn't that retirement abroad is too expensive, but that most Americans are using the wrong budget? A $700 apartment can be real. A $3 lunch can be real. A $40 doctor visit can be real. But those numbers can still leave out the costs that make the cheap dream suddenly feel very expensive. And this is where a lot of people get caught off guard. They don't move abroad with a bad plan. They move abroad with an incomplete plan. They compare rent, groceries, restaurants, and weather, but they forget the first year costs, the setup costs, the mistakes, the deposits, the paperwork, the healthcare gap, the flights home, the emergency fund. And suddenly the country they thought would save their retirement starts feeling financially stressful. Not because the country lied to them, but because the budget did. Here's the thing. Moving abroad can absolutely help Americans live better for less. For some people, it can be life-changing. You may be able to rent a comfortable apartment for far less than in the US. You may eat better, walk more, spend less on routine healthcare, feel less pressure every month. And if you're semi-retired, working remotely, or living on Social Security plus savings, the math can look very attractive. But there's a difference between a cheap monthly lifestyle and a safe relocation budget. That's the trap. Most people build the first one, not the second. Let's say someone watches a few videos about Mexico, Portugal, Thailand, or Ecuador. They see rent for $800, groceries for $400, restaurants for $250, utilities for $150, and they think, great, I can live there for $2,000 a month. Maybe they can, eventually, but probably not in month one, and probably not in year one, because the first year abroad is rarely your normal year. The first year is the year of paying to learn. You pay for the temporary rental because you don't know the neighborhoods yet. You pay more because you booked from the US. You pay deposits, you pay for furniture, you pay for appliances you assumed were included. You pay for document translations, you pay for visa help, you pay for taxis because you don't understand the bus system yet. You pay for restaurants because your kitchen isn't set up yet. You pay for mistakes. And this surprised me when I first started looking at how people actually relocate. The first year can be the most expensive year abroad, not because daily life is expensive, but because uncertainty is expensive. You don't yet know which landlord is fair. You don't know which neighborhood is overpriced. You don't know which doctor to trust. You don't know which expat advice is outdated. You don't know where locals shop. You don't know what a normal utility bill looks like. So you pay the beginner tax. And most YouTube budgets don't include the beginner tax. They show what life costs after someone has already figured it out. That's very different from what it costs while you're figuring it out. Now let's talk about housing, because this is where many Americans get their first surprise. Cheap rent may not include what Americans assume a home includes. In some countries, apartments may not have central heat. They may not have air conditioning. They may not have screens on the windows. They may not have a dryer. They may not have an elevator. They may not have parking. They may not have insulation that feels normal to you. They may not be quiet. And sometimes the cheapest apartment is cheap for a reason. It may be far from healthcare, far from transportation, far from other expats, far from walkable services, or in an area where you'll need a car, taxis, or constant delivery. And this is where the math starts to shift. Because rent is not just rent. Rent is access. Access to doctors, access to groceries, access to friends, access to transportation, access to safety, access to a daily life that doesn't exhaust you. A $700 apartment that makes your life harder may not be cheaper than a $1,100 apartment that makes your life easier. That's not something people want to hear when they're trying to escape high US costs. But it's true. The cheapest option is not always the most affordable option. Now let's talk about climate, because another hidden cost is comfort. People imagine warm countries and think, great, lower heating bills. Maybe, but warm countries can still have cold homes. Parts of Portugal, Spain, and Latin America can feel damp and chilly indoors during winter because homes may be built more for summer than winter comfort. So you may end up buying heaters, running dehumidifiers, paying higher electricity bills than expected, or simply feeling uncomfortable in a way you didn't anticipate. And in hot climates, the opposite happens. You may need air conditioning more than you expected, especially if you're older, have health issues, or don't sleep well in heat. A place can be beautiful in January and draining in August. That matters, because retirement abroad is not a vacation. You're not just visiting the best season, you're living through all 12 months. Here's another cost people underestimate: going home. Flights back to the US can become a major budget item for family emergencies, grandchildren, holidays, medical care, weddings, funerals, or simply because you miss your people. If you move to Mexico or Panama, maybe that's manageable. If you move to Thailand, Spain, or Portugal, it can be more expensive and more tiring. And distance has an emotional cost too. A cheaper country farther away may not feel cheaper when you need to fly home twice in 1 year. Nobody likes budgeting for family emergencies, but mature relocation planning requires it. Then there's healthcare. We'll go deeper on this in another video, but for now, just understand this: cheaper routine healthcare does not eliminate the need for a medical budget. You may need private insurance. You may need to pay cash up front. You may need prescription substitutions. You may need dental work. You may need specialist visits. You may eventually need care that requires travel to a larger city. So when someone says healthcare is cheap there, ask, which healthcare? Routine care? Emergency care? Specialist care? Long-term care? Cancer care? Cardiac care? Those are different conversations. Now, here's where things get even less glamorous: documents, visas, residency, banking, taxes. These are not exciting costs, but they're real. Depending on the country, you may need background checks, birth certificates, marriage certificates, apostilles, translations, passport photos, legal assistance, application fees, private insurance proof, income documentation, and multiple appointments. And if you get something wrong, you may pay twice, or you may need to travel, or you may need to start over. The country may be affordable, but the process of becoming legal there may not be effortless. And here's the bigger point. When people say, I can live in this country for $2,000 a month, I always want to ask, is that your normal month budget, your first year budget, or your bad month budget? Because those are not the same thing. A normal month is rent, food, utilities, transportation, phone, insurance, entertainment. A first year month includes setup costs, deposits, mistakes, visa work, furniture, temporary housing, and extra transportation. A bad month includes medical surprises, emergency flights, currency shifts, family problems, banking issues, and legal delays. A serious relocation plan needs all three, not because you should be afraid, because you should be prepared. There is a calmness that comes from knowing you can handle the unexpected. That's what makes living abroad feel freeing instead of fragile. So what does a better budget look like? First, build your normal monthly budget. Then add a setup fund. Then add an emergency fund. Then add a medical buffer. Then add travel home money. Then add a mistake fund. Yes, a mistake fund, because you will make mistakes. You'll overpay for something, you'll choose the wrong neighborhood, you'll buy something you later realize you didn't need, you'll misunderstand a bill, you'll use the wrong service, you'll lose money to inconvenience. That's not failure, that's relocation. And if you budget for mistakes, they don't feel like disasters, they feel like part of the process. Now, does this mean moving abroad is not worth it? No. For the right person, it may still be one of the best financial decisions they ever make. But it works best when you stop chasing the lowest possible number. Most Americans over 55 should not choose the cheapest country they can tolerate. They should choose the most stable country they can comfortably afford. That might mean paying more for Spain because healthcare and infrastructure matter. It might mean choosing Mexico because proximity to family matters. It might mean choosing Panama because residency and US dollar use matter. It might mean choosing Portugal because safety and walkability matter, or Thailand because lifestyle per dollar matters more than distance. The goal is not to win a contest for cheapest rent. The goal is to build a life that works. So before you ask, can I live there for $2,000 a month? Ask this instead. Can I afford the first year? Can I afford a bad month? Can I afford to come home if I need to? Can I afford not just the lifestyle, but the transition? Because moving abroad can absolutely help you live better for less, but only if the budget is honest. And the honest budget is not the one that looks best in a thumbnail. It's the one that still works when real life shows up. So here's my question for you. Would you rather live in the cheapest country you can find, or pay more for the country where your life feels easier, safer, and more stable? Tell me in the comments, because that answer says a lot about what kind of move would actually fit you. If you're thinking seriously about life abroad, the cost, the healthcare, the safety, the visas, and what day-to-day life actually feels like, this channel is here to help you make a smarter decision. So if you want more honest, practical videos about living better for less outside the US, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.